We're going to be talking about cards. So you guys might have already seen, if you watched Tom's talk this morning, he talked about adding sort of visual interest to your bot application. So now we're going to actually see some examples of how you can do that. So hopefully, up to this point, you might have just been using text to kind of interact with your bot, but this might give you some ideas, how you can enrich the experience, So before we get started, I just want to draw your attention to, I've been talking about this GitHub repo the whole time, so if you've been to any of my other sessions, you'll have seen this. I just wanted to draw your attention to this one as well, because we're going to be talking about a specific example, which is a web view in Facebook Messenger. That's in a separate GitHub repo. It was a bit of a last-minute addition to this deck, so I think it's worth you guys seeing, just so you can sort of understand the capabilities of a channel-specific feature. But if you do want to have a look at the code for that, it's there. So I'll put this up at the end so you can see it. Right, so as I say, bots can, and they actually should be more than just text, because users are not going to be engaged if they have to type everything and if you're just responding with text. This is an example here of an airline who's letting a user know that the flight's delayed in text. And then we've got the same experience, but this is presented using a Facebook Messenger channel-specific card. They build out a whole suite of airline cards that you can make use of, and this is one of them, just to add that richness in the visual side of things. So just to give you an idea of what we're looking at, these are all different types of cards. Some of these are sort of across the board, so you can develop using Bot Framework, and Bot Framework will take care of presenting it in the right way to the particular channel. And then there's other examples which are very specific, channel specific. The airline one, which we'll have a look at in a moment, is a really good example of a channel specific behavior. So we'll talk about generics first. So to add a generic card, something like this, where we've got a list with some information, it's fairly structured. And, it doesn't really matter whether you're using Messenger, whether you're using Teams, whether you're using Skype. They all have, this kind of idea where you can, present a list of information for a user and interact with it in some way. Yeah. So in order to build that with Bot Framework, Bot Framework gives us some shortcuts. So first of all, we create an activity. So if you guys have been sending text, you've already done this. So this is exactly the same as you're already doing. We then create the card. So the example here is a hero card, but it gives you a bunch of sort of out-of-the-box cards like carousels, receipts, the kind of common cards that you might be working with. We then add the card to the activity, right? And then we send it out, and that's it. That's literally all we need to do. Okay, does that make sense for everyone before I move on to channel specifics? Good. So now if we talk more about channel specific, now Facebook Messenger, I've talked about this airline template before. It has this, it's very sort of domain specific, and it's only available inside Facebook Messenger. Bot Framework doesn't give you a template to create this, but it doesn't limit you. It doesn't stop you from using them. Okay. So the way to do that is, again, you create an activity. Now you create the card you can use a dynamic object in C#, or you can just create the JSON. If you go into the Facebook Messenger SDK, all the custom templates that they provide, you can get the JSON for them. And you can literally just copy and paste into your channel data and populate the information that's relevant, and Facebook Messenger will take care of delivering that to you. And then finally, we just assign it in the same way, but this time we're assigning it to channel data rather than adding it to the list of attachments. That makes sense? Good. So I've got a demo now, and I'm just going to show you the generic cards, so the cross-platform cards, and then I'll have a look at a couple of the airline cards just so you can sort of see what that looks like. So at this point, I'm going to be ambitious, and I'm going to try and use my phone to connect to this thing. So bear with me. Okay, so I have deployed my bot out. I'll show you what they look like, and then I'll show you the code that does this. So first of all, I'm going to use this guy. Okay, so I'm just going to, I've got some code that whenever I present the name of the card, it's just going to present it back to me. So you can see if I ask for a static card or a static image, it gives me that back. That's the simplest type of card. I'll show you the code for this in a minute. I can then do something like hero card. Oops, if I type it right. And this will give me a slightly more complicated card with some kind of structure. We've got an image and we've got a title, subtitle, and then a link to, in this case, Wikipedia. But obviously, you can use your own web applications there. And then the last one I want to show you is the receipt, which is quite a nice way to if someone's making a purchase, you can present it in a nice visual way rather than just saying, thanks for your purchase, here it is. So there you go, bacon and pork shoulder. So nice and simple. I'm not going to go through all the examples here because they're all the same. The code's available to you guys so you can have a look in your own time. So that is that. So I'm just going to disconnect from this now. And then I'm going to briefly show you the code. Thanks, Simon. Okay, so this should be pretty familiar to you guys now. I've got a messages controller here, and all I'm doing in here, I'm just using a dialog basically to present the different cards to the user. So if we have a look in here, all I've got is a really simple switch statement. If it's a static card, then call this method, and so on. So I'll just have a quick look at one of the examples just to kind of show you what it looks like. So I'll show you the receipt card, for example. So you can see here we're building up a list of images. We're building up a list of buttons. We're adding that to a receipt. We're creating receipt items. We're adding those to a list. And then we're just using this receipt card, right? And we're just passing all those values in. These are all strongly typed classes that you get with Bot Framework, and it kind of does the translation between all the different channels to make sure it's presented in the right way. So if I've demoed it on Facebook Messenger, but if you were to have a look on, I don't know, Skype, for example, you'd see a receipt, but in Skype's presentation. Okay, so yeah, I won't talk through that because it's not that interesting, but hopefully that's pretty simple for you. Yeah. Okay, so the next demo I've got is actually something that uses the same capabilities of channel data. So it's very similar to a card, but it's a slightly different experience. What it does is specific to Facebook. It lets you embed a web view inside a conversation, right? So if you think back to Bill Barnes's session this morning, he was talking about embedding a web view which would host your chat. This is different. This web view is actually inside the conversation, right? So it's a slightly different use case, but it's very similar terminology. It's specific to Facebook Messenger, so you can only use it with Facebook Messenger at the moment. But as new channels support this feature, then I'm sure Bot Framework will support it if there's demand for it. Okay, so I've got another piece of code here. So I just briefly want to talk. I'll show you the code first, and then I'll show you this thing in action. So it's working in a very similar way to creating the cards. we create an activity first off. We then create basically all I'm doing is creating a JSON payload, right? So I'm creating an attachment. It's of type template. The template type is, there's a button on there. And then I'm embedding my web URL in there, right? So the nice thing is I'm embedding a website, which I can use to kind of continue the conversation. So, you can use this for scenarios like maybe you've got a checkout process that you want to redirect to a secure website and capture that card information outside of Facebook Messenger, but present it through Facebook Messenger. So, it's really useful for that. And the nice thing is, by using Messenger extensions here, you can, with Facebook Messenger, get the context from the conversation, and you can sort of understand who the user is, and you can, capture what's gone on in the conversation, and then you can feed it back to the conversation after the user's closed the web view. So it's quite a nice experience. So again, I've published this out, so I'm just going to show you this quickly. So you can see what this looks like. Okay, so pizza. So I've created a bot here, which is, the idea is, right, it might, I've ordered a pizza, and I want to know where the pizza is. So I don't want to install an app to do this, but it's a really nice use case for kind of tracking my pizza. Right? That's the idea anyway. So I can see where's my pizza, and it's going to come back and query internal systems, and it's going to come back and say, it's here, it's on its way, and there's a little button there that I can click, see on map. When I click that, it launches a little web view in there, and it passes information into the web view. And this is fully interactive, right? So I can, it's a really simple example, but it's just a website. So if you want to incorporate this kind of rich conversation experience into your chatbot, it's a really nice way to do it. And as I say, you can pass conversation information through, and then once the user's done, you can close it. You can add a button to close it, and then the conversation can continue. So, yeah, I didn't do that right, sorry. So I just need to disconnect from this guy. Okay, thanks, Sam. So just to recap, right? If you want to just deliver a consistent experience across all your different channels, you can use, these generic cards that Bot Framework gives you the types for. It's really convenient. Bot Framework will take care of formatting it for the channel, so you don't need to worry about it. But if you want to take advantage of specific sort of channel, particular experiences, then you can do that with channel data. So there's a couple of links there to leave you with. As I say, you can get all the code for all my talks in the top one, and then the web view, if you guys are interested in that, is available there. There's also a video on YouTube about that, just kind of talking you through the process, which, if you just search James Mann web view, you'll probably find it on YouTube. If you can't, I can point you in the right direction. And that's it. So hopefully that was useful. There's some, I think you've probably seen these by now, so I won't talk through this. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions, please, I'm available all day, so please feel free to